Most men are terrified of a quiet room. Not because they are weak, because the silence forces the question they've been avoiding. Who am I when no one is watching? And if the answer scares you, if you'd rather scroll, drink, text someone you don't even really like, then this video is going to cost you something. Because the life you're building on noise, it has an expiration date. Here's what we're covering today. 3 things most men get completely wrong about solitude. Why they run from it, what they find when they stop running, and the one reorientation that turns loneliness into something you didn't expect. Let's start where it actually starts. You weren't born afraid of being alone. Watch a child play by himself, fully absorbed, building something, and talking to no one. There's no anxiety there, no performance. That kid isn't lonely, he's complete. Then something shifts. Someone laughs at him, someone leaves, someone doesn't show up. And his nervous system files a report. Being alone means something is wrong with you. That report gets confirmed over and over. School, social media, the unspoken masculinity code that says a man surrounded by people is winning, and a man sitting by himself is losing. So you optimize for presence. You fill the calendar, you stay in the group chat. You keep relationships alive past their expiration date because the alternative, a Friday night alone, feels like evidence of failure. But here's what that costs you. You never learn who you are without an audience. You never develop the internal voice that knows what you actually want versus what you've been told to want. You build your identity on proximity to other people. And when those people leave, and they will leave, there's nothing underneath. That's not loneliness. That's collapse. And there's a second cost that doesn't get talked about enough. When you're constantly performing for other people, you slowly lose access to your own signal, your own instincts, the quiet intelligence that tells you what's right for your life, not what's acceptable or not what gets approval, what's actually yours. You start making decisions based on what will look good rather than what will last. You choose the louder option, the one that generates a reaction, and you drift, not dramatically but incrementally, away from the man you were actually built to become. That drift doesn't announce itself. There's no single moment where you sell out or give up. It's just 1,000 small choices to stay comfortable, stay visible, stay surrounded, until one day you look up and the map in your chest doesn't match the terrain you're standing in. You're in someone else's story, and you don't know how long you've been there. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. You've kept doing this, you've kept running from the quiet room. The relationships have shifted, some people gone, some new faces, but the pattern is the same. You're still performing, still managing perception, still unable to sit with yourself for 45 minutes without reaching for something. And the worst part, you can feel it. You can feel that you don't know yourself, that somewhere under the noise there's a man who never got developed, a version of you that got suppressed because silence felt like a threat. That man doesn't get louder with time, he gets quieter, until one day you can't hear him at all. That's the cost, not drama and not collapse, just slow disappearance. Now here's the part no one tells you. Solitude isn't the problem. Solitude without orientation is the problem. There's a version of being alone that destroys men, isolation, rumination, the long loop of self-criticism with no exit ramp. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about solitude as a practice, a deliberate, structured confrontation with yourself, not to punish yourself, but to know yourself. The difference is orientation. A ship alone at sea isn't lost if it knows where it's pointed. A man alone in a room isn't empty if he knows who he's accountable to. So that's the metaphor that matters here, orientation, not destination or arrival, just knowing which direction you're facing. This is where most men in this conversation get uncomfortable, because the deepest form of orientation isn't a goal, a mission statement, or a morning routine. It's vertical. Jesus said something that's easy to dismiss if you haven't sat with it long enough. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Not said I'll be nearby or I'll send someone. Direct, personal, and unconditional presence. That's not religion, man. That's an anchor. When a man knows that the one constant in his life isn't a person, isn't a relationship or a career, that the foundation underneath everything is something that doesn't leave, solitude stops being threatening. It becomes a conversation. You stop performing for God, dude. You stop pretending. You sit in the quiet room, and instead of dread, there's something that feels like relief, like being seen without needing to manage what gets seen. That's not weakness. I mean, that's the bravest thing a man can do. Most men have never experienced that. Not because it isn't available to them, but because they've spent so long using noise to manage their inner world that they've never given stillness a real chance. They've prayed out of obligation, but not desperation. They've read scripture like a checklist rather than a conversation. They've kept God at an arm's length, present enough to feel religious, distant enough to stay in control. But the man who actually surrenders the control, not the performance of surrender, but the real thing, discovers something disorienting at first. He finds out that the silence he was running from wasn't empty, but also it was full of the exact presence he'd been outsourcing to other people. And that changes everything. Not all at once, but rather quietly. The way dawn works. And here's what that shift looks like in practice. You stop texting people when you're anxious. Not because you're cutting off connection, but because you're no longer using people as anxiety medication. You start taking walks without headphones. Not every walk, just some of them. You let your own mind speak without competition. You sit with discomfort for slightly longer than you did yesterday. You don't solve it. You don't suppress it. You let it be present and you observe it instead of running from it. You notice that some of your social obligations aren't connection. They're avoidance with company. And you start to become more selective. Not colder, but just more honest maybe. You begin to recognize the difference between loneliness, which is a signal that something is missing, and solitude, which is a practice of being present with what's already there. Here's a hard identity statement. You are not lonely because you are unlovable. You are lonely because you've never learned to be your own company. And you've never learned to be your own company because you've never let yourself believe that God's presence could be enough. That sounds simple, but it isn't. Because God doesn't entertain you. He doesn't fill silence with noise. He doesn't validate you in the way an audience does. He meets you in stillness, and stillness requires you to drop the performance. Most men aren't willing to do that. The ones who are, they move differently. Not louder and not more isolated, just more settled, like they don't need the room to agree with them, like their identity doesn't collapse when someone walks out. There's a moment that happens when you finally stop running. You're sitting somewhere quiet, no agenda. And you notice for maybe the first time that you're not as afraid as you expected to be. The room isn't punishing you and the silence isn't accusing you. It's just still, and in that stillness, if you're paying attention, there's a presence. Not dramatic and, of course, not overwhelming, just there. That's the beginning. Not the end of loneliness. Not the sudden resolution of every unmet need. Just the beginning of understanding that you were never actually alone. You were just too loud to notice what was already there. Here's where we land. 3 things you got wrong about solitude. 1, you thought being alone meant something was wrong with you. It doesn't. It means you've been given a room, and the question is what you do in it. 2, you thought the solution was more connection. It isn't. The solution is better orientation. Know who you are when no one's watching, and watch how differently you show up when people are. 3. You thought you had to do this alone. You don't. There is a presence available to you that doesn't require you to perform, impress, or maintain. It only requires you to stop running long enough to receive it. You can be alone and completely held at the same time. That's not a contradiction, guys. That's a truth. Most men never live long enough to discover. The man you're becoming doesn't need constant company to feel like he's winning. He can sit in a quiet room on a Tuesday night and feel not empty or restless, just present, anchored, alive. That man already exists inside you. You've just been too busy filling the silence to meet him. Start there. If something landed for you today, drop one word in the comments that describes where you are right now, running, resting, or somewhere in between. And if you want to go deeper, longer conversations, unfiltered work, a space without the algorithm, the door to Patreon is open. It's not a product, it's a room. Come in if you're ready.